بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر.
It is a Meccan surah, and it's from one of the greatest surahs of the Quran, in which the favors of Allah are manifest upon His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And also this surah is dedicated to mentioning what Allah gave to him in abundance, not only in this world but also in the next. In the ayah, icna-masmas al-Kauthar, roughly translated, no doubt we have given you the abundant good. This is consistent with previous surahs in which Allah also mentions His favors, that those surahs also conclude with a call to either show gratitude to Allah or to do ibadah to Him. For example, the famous surah, Allah Azza wa Jalla says, أَلَمْ يَجِدْكَ يَتِيمًا فَآوَى وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى. But then at the end of that surah also, وَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فحدث. So it's a call, an invitation made to show gratitude to Allah Azza wa Jalla, and this is consistent in this surah also, because in this surah there's a call to ibadah made right after the gift. Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar is the gift, and then what's the call? Fasalli li rabbik, and pray only for the sake of your master. And the surah concludes with a condemnation of the enemies of the Prophet ﷺ, and it elaborates that they are in fact the ones that are going to be cut off completely from every good in this world and the next. As for the Messenger who is concerned, ﷺ, Allah has elevated him in terms of his mention in this world, and has granted him in this world and the next. And so in this surah, Allah Azza wa Jal mentions in regards to his enemy, inna shani'aka huwa al-abtar, that the meaning of abtar in the ayah is the one who is cut off from any form of good. There is no good at all left in this person. In regards to the study of coherence of surahs, there's a few observations we're going to make. The previous surah, and what's the previous surah? Surah Al-Ma'un. Allah Azza wa Jal gives us 4 attributes, or depicts 4 things about the hypocrite. The first of them is miserliness, being cheap, and being, greedy. And so greedy that you're willing to push the orphan around and not even talk about giving to the poor. Doesn't even encourage, doesn't even, bring it up. Why not? Because if he brings it up and he's wealthy and he's encouraging people to give to the people are going to say, well, what about you? What are you doing? And he figures, hey, if I don't bring it up, nobody will bring it up to me, so he doesn't even, talk about it to begin with. And this is the extreme state of miserliness. The second, abandonment of prayer. And where is that in the previous surah? الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. Sahwa literally means to forget something when it's not that important to you. So they really abandon the prayer for things they think are more important. And the third attribute, now keep in mind what's the sequence. The first one was to be cheap. And the second one was to be heedless and to abandon the prayer carelessly. And the third one now, showing off in matters of salah. Where does he say that? الَّذِينَ هُمْ yura'un. This is the third attribute. They're the ones who show off. And the fourth is giving even the smallest acts of charity, the bare minimum acts of charity. And this is interesting. They don't use the word sadaqah. They use the word zakat. They actually use it because that's the least someone is supposed to give. They would be a criminal if they didn't give that much. It's وَيَمْنَعُونَ al-ma'un. That ayah is talking about that final bit, that they're not even willing to give that, which is mandatory upon them. Because literally the word ma'un in Arabic means the item which you're not supposed to refuse ever. In comparison and contrast to these 4 attributes, Allah Azza wa Jal mentions 4 other attributes in this surah. And in contrast to being miserly and cheap, what did he mention in contrast in this surah? Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar. We have given you the abundant good. So the contrast of being cheap is giving. And who's giving here? Allah Azza wa Jal. So by Allah saying, Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar, one of the implications of that is to give. If Allah has given you so much, then the very least you should do is that you should give. And in contrast to mentioning, in the previous surah he mentioned the people who don't care about salah. And what does the surah say? فَصَلِّ فِعْلْ أَمْرِ. Pray then. When Allah commands, now don't take it carelessly. Because it's not just, salah is a good thing, salah has benefits. Allah is commanding to the salah. When He's commanding to it, He's expecting from us consistency in it. So that's the second. And in contrast to the third one, الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ, they're the ones who show off. In contrast to that, He says, not just pray, but pray for the sake of your master. In other words, your intention should only be for Allah Azza wa Jalla, and they should not be addressed to anybody else. So now here is the matter of ikhlas. As opposed to there, the problem was a lack of ikhlas. You're not doing it for Allah, you're doing it to show off. And in contrast to mentioning that they forbid even the smallest favor, that they don't give what they're supposed to, Allah Azza wa Jalla here says, wanhar, and sacrifice. First of all, sacrificing an animal requires you to spend money, because animals aren't free, so it requires to spend money. And when you sacrifice the animal, part of the meat is supposed to be given in what? Charity. The act in and of itself, so the one who gives the sacrifice necessarily is giving sadaqah after they're done. Then Allah Azza wa Jalla says, inna shani'aka huwa al-abtar. That Allah at the end of that surah talks about the enemy, right? The enemy of the Prophet ﷺ, who will be discontinued. And the previous surah is dedicated to the acts of the one whose mention should be discontinued from the beginning to the end. All of these descriptions are the descriptions of the person who is al-abtar. They are descriptions of it. So there's a connection between these two things.